Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future homebuyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of home ownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Lo-Fi Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. License lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender. License number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Welcome to Sports Talk with RNJ. I'm Steve Risser, along here with Justin D'Onofrio, and we had a wild night in the NBA. We had 4 Game 5s across the league in the NBA playoffs last night. A crazy game in Indiana, but we'll get to that. We got to start, though, with what happened at the Garden last night as the Knicks. And you thought, those games in Detroit, this team was kind of growing. This team has grown, winning that Game 3 in Detroit, having Cat step up, having Brunson and Cat step up late. And then you see Brunson in Game 4 come back from an injury to will this team to a victory. And then Cat step up there. Cat step up at the end, too. I know it was a controversial call, but still, that was a big win in Detroit. And then you had last night. And last night told you everything you needed to know about this Knicks team. They're good. They're not good enough anywhere with the roster and even the head coach. And the head coach sure proved it last night. He sure did. With a little under 3 minutes to go in the game, Pistons went up 2. He calls a timeout. He takes out his best player. This is the guy that was the clutch time player of the year in Jalen Brunson. He takes out his best player. It made no sense at all. He ends up putting him back in with 27 seconds left. So for 2.5 minutes of the game, the Knicks had their best player, their most clutch player, not on the floor. It made absolutely no sense. Now, it wasn't the biggest reason they lost. They didn't shoot well from the free throw line. Brunson, let's be honest, wasn't 100%, didn't have his best game. Katz didn't step up the way he did in games 3 and 4, but still. If you're a head coach in this league, you have got to have your best player in the game in crunch time. And for some crazy reason, the Knicks didn't last night. And let me tell you, if they blow this series somehow, blow this series, I think that's it for Tom Thibodeau. Because what he did last night, sitting Jalen Brunson, is fireable.
I hope you're wrong, because candidate number 1 is going to be coaching up in stores, I think.
I know.
I don't want that. So I don't want that to happen. But I think you guys are okay. Yeah, that was a head scratching move last night. Sitting Brunson there late. Because I get it. They were up 6 when he pulled them there, 4 or 6 points, and it's still like he should still been in the game, but you still got to find a way to close out that basketball game, especially against a Detroit team that's has some young guys that in this series has really struggled to close out games. So that's still definitely Brunson should be on the floor, but still, you got to find a way to pull that out, especially up late there. And yeah, it would have been the first time they clinched at the Garden in a playoff series since '99 too. That's a tough one last night to lose.
Yeah, and it would have been the first time since the conference finals in '99 when they went to the NBA finals against the Spurs. But last night I told you everything you need to know about this team. They're very good. They're a good team, but they're not good enough, and they're not good enough at all. And last night pretty much gives you almost no confidence that they're going to be able to be. Now they very easily can win the series, obviously. But but this game, but tonight gives you. Last night gave you no confidence that they could beat the Cavs and the Celtics. And last night showed you there's a reason why they are 0-8 against the Cavs and the Celtics. They're just. I mean, this is a closeout game against a team whose best player is his first time in the postseason. A team that doesn't have a definitive number two like you do in Karl Anthony Towns, and you failed to close them out on your home floor. It feels like we watched the same movie last year with the Knicks when this happened against the Sixers, when they were up 3-1 against the Sixers, and they failed to close them on their home floor. Now, they end up winning in Philly, but then they end up losing in the second round. This just seems like we're watching the same movie. It looks like we're watching the same movie, and it looks like it's not going to end well. It looks like it's probably. I think they're gonna win this series, but it looks like they're going to end. This season's going to end with them either getting either A, them getting swept to the Celtics, or B, losing in 5 to the Celtics.
Yeah, and the meetings this year against the Boston and Cleveland did not go well for the Knicks, and most of those games didn't really look too competitive. There's a couple, Tatum, I know hit a game winner there, but yeah, it's frustrating because you have some, like, your starting five, I think, really solid. It's after that, like, if one of the guys aren't, if one of those guys are off, you don't really have anybody on that bench that you can kind of go to that could kind of spark something. And Thompson's done a really nice job defensively on Brunson this series too, I think so. But and then because, like, Detroit, they've had Dennis Schroeder, they've had Beasley. Like, I know Cameron Payne had that awesome game one, and I know Mitchell Robinson had a double last night, but, like, you don't have a ton of guys on the bench that you could kind of look to when you need some production there, especially because, like, Brunson's left every game with an injury. It feels like the series. I know Hart got banged up last night. Like, it's tough. It just, and I know, like, they didn't have any maneuverability at the trade deadline to get a bench guy because of the apron. But yeah, it's a young Detroit team. You had to put them away last night. Because, man, I think Kate comes in after the game. I'm confident we'll be here Saturday night. For Game 7.
Yeah, and you got to love Cade's confidence. You got to love his confidence. I mean, that they'll be that will be here Saturday night. Yes. Have they not won any home games? No, but you got to love Cade Cunningham's confidence. He is definitely an ascending player, and it's definitely shown because he's been really good, especially in 2 of the 3 games of the Garden. He has been really good for the Pistons.
Yeah, he has. He really has, and yeah, offensively, he's really good at getting the spots and just being like 6'6". And going up against guys, like Brunson 6'2", 6'3", like, he kind of get to a spot, kind of post guys up. So yeah, and he's a solid defender as well. So yeah, Cade Cunningham's had, I know the 3-point shooting, I know it's something he's kind of worked on. But yeah, he's had a really good series here, and I know we'll get to the team like the Rockets, but, like, they could really use Jalen Green to score the basketball, and Cade Cunningham kind of really came on the scene, and he's had an awesome year so far.
Yeah, he definitely has. And now, sticking with the Pistons, what do the Pistons have to do to come back and win this series? What do the Pistons have to do to come back from 3-1 and win the series? And I'll start. Again, obviously, Cade has got to be great. And they need more guys to be consistent around Cade. Like, Thompson had a big game last night. Harris had a big game 1. Hardaway had a pretty good game 4. But they need more guys to be consistent around Cade Cunningham. That's what's going to have to happen if this team wants to advance to the second round.
Yeah, for me, it's Thompson. It's defensively and limiting Brunson again. He's shooting like 39% from the series, and on 23 attempts in the first quarter of the series, Brunson only has like 23 points. So, and Thompson last night had 22 points. Like, and if he's giving me something on the offensive end, I think 7 of them were dunks. But, like, you can get something on him, kind of defensively, and then you get 22 out of him. Detroit's going to feel pretty good, if you do that again in Game 6.
Definitely. Now, moving on to the Knicks, coming back to the Knicks, what do they got to do to close out the series? What do they got to do to get to the second round for the 3rd year in a row? And number 1, Brunson's got to be better. I know he's playing hurt, but he's got to be better. And then number 2, Katz has got to do what he did in Games 3 and Game 4. And then they need either an OG or a Bridges to have a big game. You need one of those 2 guys to have a big game in either Game 6 or 7. If they do that, I do see them winning this game, advancing, because they are the better team. They are the better team. So if Brunson's good, Cat steps up, and either Bridges or OG has a big game in either Game 6 or Game 7, I think they do advance.
Yeah, for me, it's number one's Cat to stay aggressive. I think it was early on last night in the fourth quarter. He backed down until Tobias Harris hit a jumper. And then that was like it. Like they never really went back to him. Like he's got to stay aggressive, but also Brunson, the other guy's got to find him the ball as well. Because he does have especially if Harris is on him, he's got an advantage there. My second one is in this series, Detroit is plus 33 in the third quarter. So that kind of goes back to Thibodeau too of bigger staff, making the better halftime adjustments, it seems like, than Tom Thibodeau. So that's another thing. They do have to come out better in the second half and try to even out that that margin there.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So for the series, what is our prediction? I'm still going to go with my Knicks in 6. I still am. I think they played well in Detroit. I think they do it. I think they close it out in Detroit Thursday night. I think they win it in 6. Justin, do the Knicks advance to the second round for the third year in a row?
Yeah, I'll stick with the 6 game that the Knicks get done in 6 games. Yeah, they played well. Detroit, I think they could close them out. Detroit's had their own kind of struggles at times closing out games in the series. So I'll take the Knicks to finish them off in game 6.
Now, before we move on, the big question is, if the Knicks collapse, is Tom Thibodeau fired? And I think with what happened last night, I think yes. I think if they lose this series, I think the Knicks do move on from Tom Thibodeau. And I think last night is definitely going to play a part in it.
Yeah, I think it's possible. He got an extension though. What, last off season?
He did, yeah.
Did Zolan buy him out? I don't.
That's the thing. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the one thing. I wouldn't be shocked because I know you got Brunson for another couple years. I know Bridges is about to be a free agent. But yeah, like I think there needs to be some tweaks to this roster in the offseason. But in New York, you always kind of want somebody to throw to the fire, and Thibodeau's probably the sacrificial lamb in this one. So yeah, if they do blow it, I would not be surprised if Tom Thibodeau is the one that they kind of axe him here.
Yeah, I would not be surprised at all if Thibodeau gets fired if the Knicks collapse in this series. But I'm moving on to the opponent that either the Knicks and Pistons will play, and that's the Celtics. And last night the Celtics blew out the Magic, had a huge third quarter to blow out the Magic. I think it was 120 to 89. They beat the Magic, beat them in 5, like everyone expected them to do. And the big question for the Celtics is having rest going to help the Celtics go into the second round, and absolutely will. I mean, Jaylen Brown will have time to get healthy. Drew Holiday will have time to get healthy. I think it's going to help them. And honestly, I don't think they're going to have a problem with either whoever it is, the Pistons or Knicks, in the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't think they will either. They looked good last night. Tatum was good, and yeah, you mentioned it. They're kind of they got they're banged up a little bit, so you get them healthy. Like even a Porzingis that's had injury concerns in the past, of course, gets him a couple off extra days. All Horford's like 38. It's not bad to get him another couple extra days off too. So yeah, it Boston team definitely advantage for him, and the rest is definitely gonna help them out.
Oh, without question. The rest will definitely help the Celtics out going to the second round of the playoffs. But now we got to move on to what was the craziest game last night, and that was between the Bucks and the Pacers. And it looked like the Bucks were going to force a game 6. It looks like they got up like 20 points early in the game. It looked like they were going to force a game 6, but in overtime they completely collapsed. I've never seen a collapse like this. This was like This was like Reggie Miller at the Garden collapse, or even worse. This was even a bigger comeback than Reggie at the Garden. This was a total collapse. Up 7, Nembhard hits the 3, so it's a 4-point game. And then the Bucks turn the ball over. Then Halliburton gets the and 1. And then they turn the ball over again. Halliburton gets another basket, so the Pacers go up, and then the Bucks end up losing the game, 119-118. That was crazy. And that's if you're the Bucks, you cannot lose like that. That's a terrible. I don't care if Dame Lillard is out. I know they probably weren't going to win the series anyways, but that was a terrible way to go out for them.
Yeah, that was bad. The blow 7-point lead with 40 seconds left, did not be able to finish the job there. I give him credit though, because I really did not know I thought maybe they get beat like the Heat did the other night and just like, okay, it's time to go pack it up. But I'll give him credit for the way they played. But yeah, you can't blow a game like that. Especially getting out to such a big lead. Like Gary Trent had another huge day. Tyrese Halliburton finally hits that big shot there and gets that monkey off his back, maybe. So, yeah, just an unexcusable loss there for Milwaukee last night in a game that they had won a couple. Felt they go up 13-0 to start the game, and they made, they got a chance to go back to Game 6 in Milwaukee, but they just could not finish them off.
No, no, no. And yeah, as you say, they didn't quit, but I don't think their best player was going to allow it. And now we will talk about their best player. And really, the big story is, and the big question is was this Giannis's last game with the Bucks? Was this his last game? And I know he's still under contract until 2028 when he has a player option. But to be honest, I would not be surprised at all if Giannis wants out. And honestly, he should. He should. You're in an NBA team should hold a 7-point lead there. Their season should not be over right now. They should hold that lead. But looking at the fact that Dame's going to probably miss most of the season next year, and he's going to have no chance to win a championship with the Bucks, and he's been bounced in the playoffs 3 times the last 3 years in the first round. He's been bounced in the first round the last 3 years. I think it's over. And I think he should want out. And I wouldn't be surprised at all. I think, I'm going to answer the question. Absolutely. I think this is his last game with the Bucks.
I've been on the fence. I'm gonna say that he sticks around, but I wouldn't be surprised if he has to get traded because since they won that title back in 2021, they really haven't done much to get better. Like I know they're one of the older rosters in the sport. There probably will be next year. I know Middleton hasn't been great and he's been banged up, but like to bring in Kuzma instead, who's not that great of a player, like there's just some head scratching moves lately. I know the Griffin thing didn't work out as a head coach last year, but then you bring in Doc, like the dude won one title in Boston with KG, Pierce, Rondo, and Ray Allen, and you expect Doc, I've never been a big Doc guy, so I know the GM just got a extension recently, but I I wouldn't be surprised if he acts out, but he seems like a loyal guy. But yeah, the future just doesn't seem. It's the same thing kind of with Denver right now. Like I know you still have Jokic, but like they really haven't helped put they still have Murray, but like there's no depth there. It's kind of the same thing. With Denver, they just haven't put like a great roster around them, and you're kind of wasting top talent here with Giannis.
Yeah, absolutely. You are, and that's why I think I should go. And the Bucks are at fault for this. How could you fire a coach that had the team as like the number 2 seed last year in his first year in the Eastern Conference? That was a terrible move firing Adrian Griffin. That was horrible. And then to bring in Doc, and Doc just has not been good here. There's a good chance I think Doc gets fired after this season. So yeah, listen, if I'm Giannis, I would want to get out. I really would. You look at this roster too. Really out. Listen, this is if you take Dame and Giannis off this team, it's probably one of the worst rosters in the NBA. If you take Dame and Giannis off this team, so seeing what the team's going to look like next year, if I'm Giannis, I'd want to get traded. I'd want to maybe get to a Houston or even a Brooklyn, a team with a good coach and could be an ascending team in Brooklyn. Even maybe my Knicks. Who knows? But if you're Giannis, I think you definitely want out at this point.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame him. I wouldn't, especially because it doesn't seem like the commitments, has totally been there to try to keep going and try to win another title because guys like Giannis in Milwaukee don't show up every day. And they it's so you're never gonna get the top tier free agent, but you can with Giannis there, but yeah, you've kind of been lucky to have him and you gotta continue, especially in the Eastern Conference where it's Boston, Cleveland. We just kind of talk about like there's room to be the third, and there's room if you could add somebody, maybe even be better in Cleveland. There's room to be right there with Boston in this conference. It's not like on the Western side. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he acts out, but I do think he sticks around for maybe another year or two, and if it doesn't get better, then maybe he acts out of town.
I just can't see it happening. I can't see you just with that roster and really after being bounced from the first round 3 years in a row. He's been bounced 3 years in a row, and you think he's gonna play on a team that he's pretty much just gonna have to carry for them not to be in the play-in tournament next year. If this is the team he has without Dame, he's gonna have to carry them pretty much for them not to be in the play-in tournament. I just can't see him being back. Can't see him being back. I think he's tired. I think he's done. I think it's done. I think it's over.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't. Yeah, the future, it's without Lillard next year, there's not much else right now to this roster. I know Brook I think he'd be a free agent, but like he's aging. Like I don't think he would want him back anyway. So yeah, there's not much there right now.
No, there's not at all, and that's why I think he is gonna. This is the last game. This is the last game that he has played with the Bucks. Now moving on to the West to the last game for last night. That was between the Nuggets and the Clippers. And how about Jamal Murray? 45 points. Jokic, another. He only scored 13, but he had another triple double. Aaron Gordon had a big night too. And for the Clippers, James Harden did not have a good game. And Kawhi Leonard, let's be honest, outside of game 2, has been very pedestrian. Had 20 points, but I know he almost had a triple double, but it really didn't help the Clippers last night. They lost by 16 points. So look at the series. I think we start with the Nuggets. What do the Nuggets have to do to close them out? What do the Nuggets got to do to close out this series? And for me, Jokic continue to be the best in the league. Murray continue to be great, and then just either get Porter, keep having Aaron Gordon play well. Aaron Gordon had a good night last night, and he had that dunk to turn the series around in Game 4. So those are my things that have to happen for the Nuggets to get back to the conference, to get back to the second round.
Yeah, for me, it's they need the good version of Russell Westbrook to show up again because as we've seen, he can kind of cost you basketball games. But last night, he's feeling it early, and he had a really good game. You need the good version of him to show up again. And yeah, my other one too is that Eric Gordon. You need that type of production out of him again to take some pressure off. Jokic, he had 13 or 14 last night. Like he didn't really have to score. Obviously it helps Murray at 43, but like they got Aaron Gordon had a really good game last night. Scoring wise, and that's where you kind of need to take some pressure off of those two other guys there.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and he did last night. Aaron Gordon definitely did it. And you made a good point with Westbrook. Westbrook really good off the bench. And that's going to help you. Having a veteran like that who has a ton of playoff experience, that's really going to help you having a veteran like that off the bench. And he was really, really good last night for the Nuggets. Now, on the Clippers side, what do the Clippers got to do to come back and win this series? And first, for me, Kawhi's got to be special. Like he was in Game 1. Like he was 4 years ago in that Game 6 in Dallas where he scored 40 points. Like he was in that 2019 playoff run. Kawhi has got to be special because if he's not, Clippers are going home. The reason people really like the Clippers going to the postseason was how great Kawhi has been playing. And I said earlier, outside of Game 2, he's been very pedestrian. He's been good, but he hasn't been spectacular like he was in 2019. Like he was in that Dallas series and before he got hurt in 2021. Like he was in Game 2 of this series. He just has not been spectacular. And if the Clippers want to advance, he's got to be that. He's got to be that guy. And then number 2, Harden's got to be better. His last 2 games have been Harden's worst 2 games of the series. He's got to be better. And then they got to have like Zubac did a good job stepping up with 27 last night, but they got to have more out of guys like Norman Powell and Zubac to be consistent. They need that. So that's what the Clippers got to do to come back and win this series.
Yeah, so did I, because I had James Harden one my other ones too, and James Harden's got to step up, be a bit better. And I know Denver's done a really good job trying to take him out of the games. Like they've kind of blitzed him with the ball. They've really tried to get it out of his hands, but he's got to find, and even Ty Lue, they got to find spots where where he can kind of get in the space. They got to find ways to get him open. To knock down some shots. Second for me was protect the home court. They're 30-11 this year at home. I know Game 4 didn't go well. They almost did come back, but I know they're on 22. But they've been pretty good at home this year. That's number 2, and number 3 as well. You kind of mentioned it too, is the role guys. They have more depth than Denver does, and I expect them to be better. Going Game 6 at home. I know Bogdanovic played like 18 last night. But Toon had a good Game 2, I think it was Game 2 or Game 3. But they need a couple of those guys. I know Chris Dunn had a really good. He was 6 or 7 last night. So they need some of those the role guys again to step up on Game 6.
And you were right about the role guys stepping up. You're definitely right about that. And now series prediction. I do think the series has been really good. So I do think the Clippers win another game. But Game 7 in Denver, I think that's when the Nuggets close them out. And I think they do that. I think the Nuggets close the door in Game 7. They win. They get to the second round. I got the Nuggets in 7 like I did before the series started. Justin, I know you said the Clippers had the edge last week. Do you still think that?
Yeah, I'll still go with the Clippers in 7 here.
Wow.
Denver's lost home games this year to Washington, I think it is, San Antonio. Like they've lost some bad ones at home this year. So yeah, I'm with you. Like, I think this does go to a game 7. And I do think, Kawhi Leonard has a huge game. James Harden does enough there, and Norm Powell, Chris Dunn do enough, and Zubac, kind of slows down Jokic enough. And I do think the Clippers get out of here and still win the series.
Wow, wow. So you're going with the Clippers. You are sticking with those Clippers in 7.
Yeah.
So you're sticking with the Clippers in 7. So we'll see. We'll definitely see what happens there. But we will move on to the games tonight, and we definitely got to start with the Lakers. Lakers, who are on the brink of elimination. Lakers down 3-1 over the T-Wolves. Great, crazy game on Sunday. Anthony Edwards went crazy with 43 points. JJ Redick did not like substituting. He kept everyone. He kept his starters in the entire second half. Which listen, I know Luke and LeBron. I know you can keep Luke and LeBron in because it's playoff basketball. I think you have to keep them in, but did not sub at all and not utilize your bench it was not a good move. The play they ran up too late in the game was not a good play. You're seeing JJ Redick. You're definitely seeing JJ. You're smiling because you know you were right about the Lakers. You're definitely seeing JJ Redick's youth show up, and a little bit of LeBron James's age because he didn't score in the fourth quarter on Sunday. So you're seeing two things: LeBron's age show up. JJ Redick, definitely seeing JJ Redick's youth as a head coach. It showed up in game 1 and definitely showed up in game 4. You're definitely seeing JJ Redick's youth as a head coach. But the big question is how do the Lakers come back and win the series? That's the question. How do they come back and win the series? And number one, this bench has got to be better. They got to be better off the bench, and they got to be utilized. JJ Redick has got to utilize the bench. He's got to utilize it. Number two, I think Reeves has got to have he's had good games in the series, but he's got to really step up and have a big game in the series. Because Luka and LeBron have been scoring, but they really haven't had another guy have a big game in the series. And number three, let's be honest, LeBron cannot go scoreless in the fourth quarter. He can't go scoreless. He's got to be better late in games. So all those things have to happen. It's possible for the Lakers to come back, but it's unlikely seeing the way the series is going.
Yeah, I think So for me, I've as well here. The others have to step up, and with JJ having to trust his bench a little bit more than he did, because I think Luka Saturday had food poisoning. So I don't even know if he was 100% on Sunday.
He wasn't 100% on. He was on Friday. He wasn't 100% on Friday.
Okay, so that probably affected him a little bit too. But you kind of saw that was the Lakers. They knew they had to win Game 4 to have a chance, and it's going to come back to bite them. And my other one too for the Lakers is they have to be better in the fourth quarter. The scoring margin in this series, they're minus 36. Timberwolves have been better at closing them out, and you got LeBron and Luka. You should be able to do that. But I know, LeBron didn't even score there in the fourth quarter, but they got to be better when the in crunch time there. Timberwolves have been out playing them there. So those are kind of my two things there with the Lakers: the bench and the fourth quarter.
And you hit the nail on the head with LeBron and Luka. They got to be better in crunch time because Anthony Edwards is both of them in crunch time. And let me tell you right now, Anthony Edwards to me is a better player than LeBron James. I think that's been established in this series. Anthony Edwards is a better player than LeBron James. That's been established. And let me tell you something. It's debatable now between him and Luka. It's debatable, which because Anthony Edwards defends better late in games. Luka does not defend as well as Anthony Edwards. Now, Luka's a better scorer and a little bit better at making his teammates better around him, but it's not that big of a difference. Edwards is a much better defender. So it's right now, Ant-Man is a better player than LeBron James. To me, that's becoming obvious in this series. And number two, now I think it's getting arguable with which guy you would take, Ant-Man or Luka, which we had this discussion last year for the conference finals, and we stopped having the discussion because Luka, had outplayed Ant-Man in the conference finals last year. But we're starting to have that conversation again, seeing the way the series is going.
Yeah, I think you're starting to see, Father Time starting to catch up with them. Like LeBron's 40, he played in what? He still played 70 games this year. And he's 40.
No, listen.
I know.
Listen, he's still a top 10 player. And the fact he's playing at a top 10 level at 40 is amazing.
No, yeah, it absolutely is. And I know he's 27-12, but he's 5 for 9. He had 18 free throws. Most of those were fouls. I will, but Anthony Edwards been unbelievable this series. Especially in game 4 there, and you mentioned it. The one thing on Luka is he's not great at getting. He's not great at times of making his teammates better. And Anthony Edwards is a phenomenal defender as well there. And and I think too in this series, Randall, I think I said this last week, the Lakers don't have anybody to match. Like Randall's been a bad matchup for them this series as well. Like he stepped up and played really really well because like they don't Hakamore's not is not a great post defender and he's only 6'8", and then Jackson Hayes plays 4 minutes a game, so that's like their one big guy. So the Randall too's he stepped up too and played really well this series as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, Randall has played well, and yeah, you talk about Jackson Hayes. Jackson Hayes is terrible. Jackson Hayes is absolutely terrible. He's just taking up space on the floor. He's useless. Jackson Hayes is absolutely useless for this Lakers team. But now going to the Timberwolves, what do they got to do to close out the series? And number one, I mean, their bench has been the difference. Their bench got to continue to be great. Their bench has got to continue to be great because they've destroyed the Lakers bench in this series. Ant-Man continued to be arguably a top 5 player. He's been great as well. And you talked about Randall too being really good. And then number 2, and then again, have McDaniels. People forget Jaden McDaniels. 30, really good game 1, really good game 3, pretty good game 4. He's been really good as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I had that as well here. They've been outscoring the Lakers bench this series, and they had Naz Reid, who again, like if he's not scoring, he's a good post defender. Then you have DiVincenzo and Alexander Walker can kind of step up and make plays, and McDaniel. So the Timberwolves, they have the depth. They're gonna, they got more depth than the Lakers. And number 2 for me is again the Timberwolves continue to just win the inside game. Continue to get it down to Randall. Gobert too. I know he's not like a huge scorer. I know he's 1 for 6, but like if you can kind of get him around the rim, get a couple finishes around there. Like the Lakers don't have many guys. I saw Max Keebler is now a game time decision. I don't think I know he's not like, but like he will add more size.
Maxi Kleber, he might add more size.
Yeah, Maxi Kleber,
It's still Lakers definitely don't have a ton of size. That's definitely an obvious point, but yeah, I mean, exactly. Just have these Timberwolves guys just continue to play as well as they are, and yeah, the Lakers definitely are in big trouble. And this goes now. Now we're gonna get to our prediction in the series. Now you gave the Timberwolves the edge. You gave them the edge. I didn't, but for what I've seen in this series, I do think the Lakers win tonight. I think they win tonight. I don't think they go out at home, but I think they lose this in 6. And I think the 2 biggest reasons are Ant-Man is because the big question going into the series was, do the Lakers have the 2 best players in the series? That's been answered. That's absolutely not. Anthony Edwards has been better than LeBron James. That's obvious. And then number 2, Chris Finch has completely outcoached JJ Redick. JJ Redick's inexperience became an issue in the series. So it's Redick's inexperience and Ant-Man being better than LeBron, and that's my reason why I'm changing my pick. And I am going with Minnesota in 6. I'm going to go with Minnesota in 6 to win the series. Justin, are you sticking with the T-Wolves just like last week? I'm confident. I'm pretty sure that you are.
Yes, I am. Yeah, I'm going 6 as well here. I think the Lakers will get it tonight, but I think game 6 because the other thing about the bench with the Lakers is the quick turnaround. You got to play Friday, and then even if they win Friday, it's Sunday. More than likely, they're going to be a 3:30 ABC game. So like that's a quick turnaround.
It will be 3:30 ABC. There's no question about that. Mike Breen and Doris Burke, 3:30 ABC, guaranteed. If there's a game 7.
Quick turnaround for LeBron and that Laker team that doesn't have much depth right now. So I think it's a tough uphill climb, and I think Timberwolves will finish them off Friday night up in Minnesota.
Yeah, I think the Timberwolves win this in 6. Now we'll wrap up talking about the Warriors and the Rockets. Warriors up 3-1 on the Rockets, and the Heat organization, the fans should be sick with the way this Jimmy Butler situation has turned out. It has completely went against them because Jimmy Butler in the 4th quarter was amazing again, scoring 27. He comes back off he misses game 3, but he comes back off the injury, scores 27 points. He is the closer that they needed. He is the Robin that the Warriors have missed last year. He is the Robin that the Warriors missed, the Curry's Batman that they missed last year. He's been outstanding in the postseason. Playoff Jimmy has showed up. The Warriors are up 3-1, and the big question now, with them being up 3-1, what do they got to do to close out this series? And for me, playoff Jimmy has continued to be playoff Jimmy. Steph I know he was a great game 4, but he's continued to be great. And then either Buddy Hield or Podziemski, give that 3rd guy step up. And that's why I was a little leery of the Warriors, picking them to be the biggest threat to the Thunder in the Western Conference. But the way they're playing right now, there's a good chance that they are because they have that 3rd guy stepping up with Hield and Podziemski, and Jimmy, and playoff Jimmy has been playoff Jimmy.
Yeah, that's my first point too. Is Podziemski played well, Buddy Hield, with 15, and even Buddy with 3 assists. He's not was never a huge passer, but hey, he's kind of started to this series. And then you even got something like Quinn Post too on Monday night. So like they've and then Draymond too drains 2 threes to open the game as well. Or he starts 2 for 2 from 3, and you kind of knew the Rockets were in trouble. So yeah, it's kind of the third guys have been stepping up. My second one too, same thing with Butler. Is he's I know he looked really good. He closed it out. He had that kind of big rebound there late. Jimmy Butler's just again, he plays his best basketball, in in the playoffs, and he's doing it again. And number 3 tonight is going to be a lot of nervous energy in Houston, obviously, with them being up 3-1, or being down 3-1. So take care of business early on and kind of get up to an early lead and put pressure on a young Rockets team too that doesn't have a ton of experience being here as well.
Now the question for the Rockets is, what do they got to do to make this comeback? What do they got to do to come back from 3-1 down? And it's so obvious. They need a guy to step up late in the game and make a play. Şengün had a great game on Monday night, but he couldn't do it. And Jalen Green, three games where he's been held where he scored single digits. 3 games. This is your number 2 overall pick. Your number 2 overall pick 4 years ago. This guy is supposed to be your superstar, and he has clearly not played like your superstar. He has played like maybe and to me, he's a borderline all-star. He's not a superstar. You can't win a championship if he's your best player, and he has proven that in this series. And this is why I took the Warriors in this series. The Rockets don't have that guy. The Warriors arguably have 2 of those guys with Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler. The Rockets don't have that guy. Like I said at the beginning of this series, Jalen Green, good, not great. Alfred Şengün, very good, not great. Fred VanVleet, very good, not great. When you have very good, not great, you're not winning playoff series in the NBA. Great players win series in this league. Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler win series. Alfred Şengün, Jalen Green, and Fred VanVleet don't win series. And to me, that's the biggest reason why the Warriors are up 3-1. And that's what the Rockets, they're losing these close games because nobody's stepping up late. And if this continues, they will be home.
Yeah, you pretty much said what my first point was there is, they have not had a guy to close it out. And you put up 106-2 on Monday night. That's a game you got to win, because the only other game they put up 100 points was in game 2 when they won. Like, that's a game 2 you have to find a way to win the basketball game, because they've been pretty inept. They've really struggled to score the basketball time in this postseason. And that was another one of my points with Jalen Green too. You mentioned it, 38 in game 2, the other 3, 7, 9, and 8. Like, he's got to be better. He's got to step up, and he's, I don't want to say like the moment's been too bright for him. I know it's his first time in there, but it's been tough. And for him too to only take like 8 shots too, like, I know Şengün was 12 for 28 there, and he's a good scorer too, but yeah, they need more from him. And then my third one too is kind of continuing the rebounding battle, especially offensively. Where get some easy putbacks, or even get that kick out for a 3 and knock it down. Like, they need some kind of just easy baskets again, because it can be challenging for offensively at times for them.
Yeah, exactly. And my prediction is, I'm going like I did at the beginning of the series. I'm going Warriors in 6. I'm going Golden State in 6 to win this series. I got the Warriors in 6. Justin, you said you had the Warriors last week. You sticking with it looks like you're probably sticking with the Warriors, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'd say they get it done in 6. I think Houston will win tonight, but yeah.
Yep, Warriors just a better team. They're just a better team, and the Rockets are showing you that they need They need a star. They got all stars, but they need a superstar if they're going to make noise in the West playoffs. And that's something they need to really be looking for in the offseason. But we had a major surprise in this year's NFL draft. But before we talk about that, we are going to hear from our friends at JPEG Financial and Shamrock Home Inspections.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? How often are you thinking about it? The team at JPEG's Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies in the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident in your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website and give us a call at 860-430-5397. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. JPEX Financial Group, LLC is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. JPEX Financial Group is located at 78 Eastern Boulevard, Glastonbury, Connecticut. There's no bigger investment than home ownership. And to make sure the house is up to your standards, you need a professional to look it over. Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections is a licensed home inspector and a member of the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors. Brian was a contractor for over 15 years, so he knows how homes should be constructed and how mechanicals should work.
What makes me a good home inspector was the 20 years that I was a home improvement person, doing all the different repairs that I have done and what other people have done wrong that I had to go out and fix. So I have a pretty quick eye on seeing what's right and what's wrong. Before you move, call Shamrock Home Inspections.
Before you make the biggest investment of your life, call Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections at 860-268-2566 or visit shamrockhomeinspectionct.com.
All righty, so the NFL draft has come and gone, but the big story in the draft was Deion Sanders' son sliding as far as he did to the 5th round. Now, I thought he was going to go 21 overall to the Steelers. That's where I had him going. And then, when he slid, I'm like, all right, I'm not totally shocked, because we thought, there potentially might slide in the 2nd round. We thought, there's a chance he slides in the 2nd round. So, but then, Cleveland passes on him. Then the Saints pass on him to take Tyler Shuck. A guy with a, late 2nd round.
26.
What do you say?
He's 26 years old. He was in Trevor Lawrence's recruiting class. That's how old he is.
With a late 2nd round to early 3rd round grade. So and then he just kept sliding and sliding and sliding. Then the Steelers had 2 other opportunities to get him, and they didn't get him. So he kept sliding, and finally he gets drafted by the Browns after they drafted Dylan Gabriel with their 3rd round pick. So it was crazy. And the question is why did Shedeur Sanders fall to the 5th round? Listen, I know he was a little overrated during the draft process as being a top 5 pick, because he absolutely was not a top 5 pick. I had him, I thought, where he should have been, or a little bit higher than he should have been at 21. He definitely should have been an early 2nd round pick. He should have definitely been an early 2nd round pick. To me, what did it was the immaturity in the interviews and how he shooed teams away in the interviews. That's what did it to me. He didn't act like a professional in the interviews. And from what I've heard, he didn't act like a professional in the interviews. And to me, that's why he fell. Because there's no way he should have got past New Orleans in the 2nd round. To me, there's no way he should have got past Cleveland with 2 2nd-round picks. They pretty much trade down, don't take Travis Hunter. They have 2 2nd-round picks. He slid past them. They took a linebacker. Over him in the second with the Cleveland with their 33rd pick. So to me, he should have never slid past the 2nd round, especially New Orleans at like 40. So he should have never slid. So for me, I think organizations just didn't want a player like him there. And let's be honest, he didn't have Cam Ward's talent where organizations were going to put up with it. I definitely think it was the off the field stuff that made him fall to the 5th round.
Yeah, absolutely. And because look, if you're a GM or a head coach, this guy, so quarterback, right now, most important position right now in sports. Why would you risk your job to bring in a guy that does not seem to hold himself accountable? I saw the story about when he visited with the Giants where he was ill-prepared, Daboll called him out on it, and, he did not like that. And then I heard, I don't know what team it was, but he answered a FaceTime during the meeting, and he, did not hang up or, he was talking. Yeah. Why would you bring him in to be a franchise quarterback? Why would you pick him in the 1st or 2nd round? If this doesn't humble him, I don't think anything will. And I get with Deion could act like that because he was Deion and he could kind of prove it and he can kind of show it on. Shedeur's a good player, but he doesn't have the cachet to be to act like he is. He's a nice player, but I'm not. If I'm a GM or head coach, I ain't risking my job to sign him because I don't know what I'm going to get. is he going to come in July and have the playbook read and understand what he's got to do? You're not taking that risk. So yeah, he's got the talent to be higher than he was selected, but yeah, that's in the immaturity in your quarterback, and it's no team is taking a risk with that. And so it makes all the sense in the world. And Mel Kiper was not happy.
Oh yeah, Mel Kiper
Yeah.
thinks he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Mel Kiper thinks the greatest thing since sliced bread.
You remember what he said about Jimmy Clausen?
I know. He's
Yeah,
great. Mel Kiper's great, but he has made his mistakes. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
Mel Kiper's great.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Mel Kiper's great, but he definitely has made his mistakes. But and you said it, the immaturity. You saw it even with Abdul Carter a little bit with the Lawrence Taylor thing. But he could kind of act that way a little bit because he's an edge rusher. If you're the quarterback, you're playing the most important position on the field. I mean, these GMs, livelihoods are depending on your success. If you're going to be immature in these meetings and you don't have the talent of a top 5 prospect, you don't have the talent of those guys. And a good draft class, you probably would be like maybe the 4th or 5th quarterback taken. So yeah, his lack of maturity, I think, definitely is what caused him to slip to the 5th round. But now that he's in the league, now that he's on the Browns, the question is seeing the Browns quarterback depth chart. Now, you can eliminate Deshaun Watson from there because he's probably not going to play this year. So it's pretty much 4 quarterbacks: Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, Dylan Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders. Is he going to beat out all of them and be the day one starter? I think it's very unlikely that he is, especially the 5th round pick. I think it's very, very unlikely that he's going to be the day one starter. I think it's going to be Kenny Pickett or Joe Flacco. I think it's very unlikely he'll be the day one starter.
Yeah, I'm there with you. It's maybe one of the most fascinating QB rooms that we have right now. And yeah, I think it's probably be Pickett or Joe Flacco because Gabriel's, I think it's a career backup. Maybe he makes a spot start or two. But he could probably Shedeur could probably leap him. But yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if there's a moment this year where Shedeur goes and has a start or two. But the other thing is just I assume you saw the reaction when they drafted him in the room. They
weren't even that happy.
Well, yeah. So I don't, unless it's Stefanski's forced to play him. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna see a ton of Shedeur. But I wouldn't be shocked if Cleveland struggle in December. Hey, throw Shedeur out there. We got a home game. It's gonna be 10 degrees out. Let's fill the stands. Shedeur's playing. So other than that, I don't think he's gonna be he's not gonna. I don't see him being a day one starter.
And you lead me to my next point. When are we going to see Shedeur Sanders on the field this year? And I think yes. Because I think Dylan Gabriel is just a waste there. I don't think he really has a future as being anything for the Browns. They might trade Kenny Pickett. He could potentially be if he works hard and does what he's supposed to do in training camp, he could potentially be the number 2 guy. So honestly, I wouldn't be surprised in November because the Browns, I don't think the Browns are going to be a good team again. I don't think so. I just don't. I don't think they have I think their offense is. I don't think they have that good of a draft. I don't think the Browns are going to be a good team again. So I wouldn't be surprised. Say they start with Flacco or Pickett, they start 2-6, and he's out there at the beginning of November. I would not be surprised because the guy, he's got good football IQ. He's accurate. He's got pretty good accuracy. Yes, the arm strength's an issue. The mobility is kind of an issue, but the guy should never have been taken in the 5th round. So I wouldn't be shocked that if he gets on the field. But here's the thing. If he does get on the field, it's got to be his best football because he's not a 1st or 2nd round pick. He's a 5th round pick. And if he plays bad, and with the Browns probably having a top 5 pick next year, with the Browns having a good chance to have a top 5 pick next year, he could be gone if he doesn't play well.
Absolutely. He could. Now maybe the owner wants to keep him around next year. If he just, he wants the potential maybe there still Shedeur, but I could see him definitely November, December, a home game especially where you're not you gotta sell some tickets, then you just throw them out there and hope it goes well, and maybe you find something. Again, it's a low risk, high reward type situation. Again, the Browns have they've been 40 quarterbacks a century they've started. It seems
exactly.
So maybe they find something to Shedeur and he's their franchise guy. Yes, you meant the talent's there to do it. It's just, again, what I mentioned a few minutes ago, if this doesn't humble him, if this doesn't push him to work hard and to kind of, I don't think anything will.
Exactly. If he doesn't work hard, he doesn't push him. Yeah, this should motivate him. This should really motivate him to be as good as he could be. This, you said it. You hit the nail on the head. It should absolutely motivate him to be as good as he could be. It definitely could. So we'll see what happens with Shedeur Sanders with the Browns. It should be interesting to see what happens there. But We'll move on to his former teammate at Colorado. And Jacksonville made a deal in the second. This is where the draft got interesting very early on. Jacksonville made a deal in the second round, gave up a haul to trade up to get Travis Hunter. And the question is, which team do you feel like is going to get the better of this deal? The Jags or the Browns? And I know the Jags gave up a haul, but I think it's going to be the Jags because they took, outside of Abdul Carter, probably the next thing to a sure thing in this draft. So I think it's going to be the Jags. I know they gave up a haul, but I think it's going to be the Jags. And I know the Browns got a bunch of picks, but I think the Jags got the sure thing in this draft.
Yeah, Travis Hunter to be a great two-way player. I'm going back and forth because potentially Cleveland's going to have 2 top 10 picks next year, so they could really improve it. I will say Jacksonville because I do think they had a pretty solid draft in a Division II that's not great. So like maybe I'm not saying they're going to win it this year, but like yeah, maybe they win like 7 games. They surprised some folks there. So yeah, I will go with Jacksonville. They did trade up. They did give up a bunch there, but I get like Jacksonville could definitely use like a flash for somebody and Cleveland could have used it too. But like Jacksonville's got some excitement, a little bit more. Obviously excited to have a player like Travis Hunter playing there. Like they, obviously we haven't seen a two-way player, since Dion, but like for this, he could really impactful, especially at cornerback, and then even wide receiver, where Trevor Lawrence could use another weapon.
Yeah, he's going to be great there. He's going to be great there. He's going to be their number one corner. He's going to be primarily a corner because I think he'll obviously be the number one corner. But then with receiver, I think they're going to use him with packages. As Andrew Berry said, he's the next. He could be the Shohei Ohtani of football. I don't understand why you just wouldn't take that when the average was staring you in the face, and you would trade down, especially when you're in year 6 as a general manager, and if you have another terrible year, you might not even be able to make those picks. So I definitely think Jacksonville is going to get the better of the deal here.
Yeah, absolutely. I forgot about that. Yeah, he might not even survive. The Cleveland GM, may not even survive. So, yeah. I think Jacksonville definitely will in that division. I think Travis Hunter is going to be a stud. It's going to be interesting. How I know he's probably not going to play both ways, all the time. But like, how is he going to hold up though for a 17-game season? Is kind of my only thing. I know he did pretty well in college doing it, but yeah, you now you add a couple more games onto that, and probably this year, especially like a preseason game, at least one.
Yeah, we'll see how he holds up. It's gonna be, but we've never seen a guy do this, and it's gonna be interesting to see how he does. It's really gonna be interesting to see how he does. He's a phenomenal athlete, and he's gonna be really, really fun to watch in this league. He's gonna be really fun to watch in this league. But moving on to another team that was at the top of the draft, and that's the Giants. And I thought they had one of their best drafts in years. I thought they did, and I'm not just me as a Giants fan saying it. Other people have said it. Peter Schrager said it. People that are not or analysts have said they've really, really liked the Giants draft. I mean, and it all started with them. And here's what I give them credit for. I know a lot of people are going to say it was obvious to take Abdul Carter. It was obvious to take Abdul Carter. Anybody could take Abdul Carter. Yes, I get that, but they didn't listen to Jacksonville's phone call. Unlike Cleveland, they stayed where they were, and they took one of the top players in the draft. They took, and it made sense for a regime that is on the hot seat. It made a lot of sense for a regime that is on the hot seat to take a guy that is going to help them win games. Who could potentially be the defensive rookie of the year. A guy who's really going to help them win games this year. So I really, really like them staying at 3, taking Abdul Carter. Now, the only concern I had, small concern in this draft, was them trading up for Jackson Dart. But this team was they needed a quarterback, and they were afraid the Rams were going to take him at 26. They traded up with the Texans. They had to give up 2 day 2 picks. I know the first round and second round pick were a pick swap, but they gave up a late third round pick. They had to give up a day 2 pick, but they potentially have their franchise quarterback of the future in Jackson Dart. They potentially have. Now it's going to take some time, and the issue here is Dable and Shane don't have time, so they may not ever coach. They may not ever be there to see Jackson Dart. But I do. It is good that they were able to. They potentially were able to get their franchise quarterback, and then really their day 3 picks. Their late day 2, early day 3 picks. I think were really good. Darius Alexander was projected to be a second round pick as that D line. The pick I really, really liked was Cam Scatterbo. I never really liked that pick. I really like the Cam Scatterbo pick. I think the Giants will have a good running game this year with him and Tyrone Tracy. because of that. I like the Cam Scatterbo pick. And then I like the offensive lineman they got out of Purdue. And he blocked for Tyrone Tracy in college. So all in all, I really like this draft. I really like this draft. Now, is it too little, too late for Joe Shane? That could be very true, because if they have another bad year this year, they're probably going to move on for Dable and Shane. But you got to give Shane a little bit of credit. He might not be able to make up from the 2 horrendous drafts and the Saquon stuff, but the last 2 drafts for Joe Shane have looked pretty good.
Yeah. And I do think they had a really good draft here as well. Carter, was an awesome one. Dart, we'll see. I think that's the biggest, but it's over the quarterback, and obviously you needed one, so they're taking a risk there. But hey, maybe they find their guy. I really like Darius Alexander out of Toledo. Scatterbo too. I think Scatterbo had over 700 carries in college. So I think for the first 3 years he's going to be solid, but after that, I don't know how much he's going to have left in the tank. But he runs so hard, and he's such a workhorse. And I like the offensive lineman pick. As well. And Thomas Phenom, the tight end, he came out of JUCO, I believe. He was pretty highly Nebraska was very excited to have him come in. He never lived up to the hype. Maybe he finds something in New York. Maybe they find something for him and he could become a solid day through, a future guy. So I thought the Giants had, one of the best. I do think they had a really, really good draft, and it's something that, I know the future right now is not bright, and the coach and the GM's a question mark for the future, but I think they drafted pretty well.
I think they did. I give them an A. That'd be my grade. I give them an A. Justin, would you give them an A too?
I gave him A-.
A-. Gotcha. Give him an A-. Yeah, listen, we'll see. We'll see what happens this year. We'll see if Shane will be able to see this through. I think there's a better chance Shane sees it through than Daboll, because if Daboll has another bad year and then has a bad game like he did against the Jets and the Commanders last year, he's probably going to get fired. But I think there's a better chance for Shane to see it through. But we'll see. For coming off their worst season in franchise history, they did have a very good draft. It looked like they had a very good draft. We'll see how the draft ends up, but it looked like, seeing that they took the best player available, it looked like it definitely seemed like they had a very good draft. Now, moving on to your Patriots in the draft. First, I'm going to let you go first. What grade would you give them, and what were your thoughts on the draft?
I gave him an A. I think Will Campbell, maybe I should go A- because Will Campbell's probably a little bit of at number 4. He's probably more of a back end top 10, but again, you hope to find your left tackle of the future that's going to protect Drake Mack. And I found out this weekend too, he was dating Garrett Meyer's sister, who was the LSU starting quarterback. So which I thought a little bit fascinating. I like Travion Henderson to bring in another running back. We'll see Stevens had some fumble issues. I know they still got Gibson. It's not bad. Kyle Williams out of Washington State, really productive at Washington State. He had 10 touchdowns last year. Another guy that hopefully a younger guy that could come in and be a productive wide receiver. Jared Wilson out of Georgia. Somebody who could probably be our starting center next year. When you get him 95th pick's not bad. Swinson from LSU. I think it 8.5 sacks. For a day 3 guy, I think it's a seller ad for a day 3 guy. And then, they went with the kicker, which I didn't mind because they needed a kicker. Bryant's not bad either. You can kind of they need depth on the offensive line, of course, still, and then Ashby is going to be the long snapper. And I guess he was going to be pretty teams are going to draft he was going to be pretty popular long snapper and in the undrafted market. So I guess that's why the Patriots drafted him there. But stinks that they cut Cordova, but but it seems like they're pretty high in Ashby. So I thought it was a really good draft. I think they filled a lot of the holes, and there's now some expectations on them now. It's not just Patriot fans. This could be a playoff team. Now it's they're you got to win 9 games next 9. Now they're not going to seek up anybody. I should kind of say now. I think everybody kind of knows the offseason that they've had, and you're not going to be able to sneak up on anybody.
Yeah, I mean, this is the team that has to they have to win 7 or 8 games. For me, they have to 7 or 8 wins, be in playoff contention in the AFC, or Elliott Wolf gets fired. It's as simple as that for me. I think it's 7 or 8 wins, be in playoff contention, or Elliott Wolf gets fired. To me, that's what's got to happen for the Patriots this year. But for me, I'll give the Patriots an A-. I'll give them an A-. And I like a lot of their picks. I like, obviously Will Campbell. They needed the tackle. They got him. Travion Henderson, Kyle Williams, Jared Wilson. Retch a little bit on Woodson, I think, in the 4th round. But Farmer and Swinson are good picks too. So they filled their needs. I liked it. What's really going to determine this Patriots draft is can Will Campbell be the blindside protector for Drake May? Can he be that blindside protector? Because if not, I don't think he's worth the number 4 pick. If not, I know we're hearing a lot about his arm length and everything, but if he can't be the blindside protector for Drake May for the next 5 to 10 years, he can't be that starting left tackle, I don't think he's worth the number 4 pick. And there were guys that were better than Will Campbell, Mason Graham and Ashton Genty. So, but the Patriots, instead of best player available, they drafted for need. And I think tackle's a position where and they desperately needed one, and it's a very important position. So they drafted for need. I don't mind it there, but let me tell you something. For this draft, for me, for it to be really successful, Will Campbell has got to be the franchise left tackle for the next 5 to 10 years. For me, for the draft to be successful, but I'm going to give it an A-. I really like what they did. I like what the combination. Combination of. It seemed like it was a combination of Mike Vrabel and Elliott Wolf did.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely seemed like it. It felt good too. Like, I love Bill, but like, we always take swings in the draft. And
his drafts were so bad for the last decade. That's why you moved on from him. That's the biggest reason why you moved on from him. Not because of his coaching, it's because of his terrible drafting the last decade. The back half of at the end of his time with you guys.
Yeah, so like it was kind of good for that. So took the special team guys, but we did need the kicker. But I thought Vrabel Wolf had a pretty solid draft here, and and I think your point was perfect about Campbell. Like if he can turn into the blindside protector for the next decade or so with New England, and for Drake May, it's gonna be a great draft. It's gonna be a solid draft class already because you got a lot out of Will Campbell here. But if it fails, or even if they have to move him to guard, like it's not worth taking a guard number 4 Ross. No. You hope you don't have to turn him into a guard, but the future's is definitely bright again. And with Vrabel being the head coach, it's a lot. I feel a lot better about the future right now.
You definitely have to. You definitely have to as a Patriot fan. Now we will do our winners and losers in the draft, and I'll start first, and I'll start with my winners, and we'll go 5-1 with our winners. And number 1, I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans. I really, really like them. Again, just staying at 1, taking the obvious guy, taking Cam Ward, not trading the pick. They needed a quarterback. He was the best guy out there. They took him. I like that. Also I like some of the other moves they made. They really didn't have a lot of reaches there. The D from they traded down for the defensive end from UCLA. He wasn't a reach. Winston out of Penn State. He wasn't a reach. The receiver they got out of Florida in the 4th round, he wasn't a reach. They also got a couple other pass catchers with Helm, the tight end from Texas, and the receiver from Stanford. I don't think they really had a lot of reaches here. I really like what the Titans did in this draft. Number 4, I'm going with the Cardinals. I mean, I like the Walter Nolan pick in the 1st round, but I love the Will Johnson pick. That could be a steal in the 2nd round for them. Getting Will Johnson could be a steal in the 2nd round for them. I really like that pick. Also, they got Brush, the edge rusher, out of Oregon, and then Simon in the 4th round. I think they got really good value for their picks. I think the Cardinals had an A draft for me. I think the Cardinals had an A draft. Number 3, I'm not just saying this because I'm a Giants fan. As I said earlier, I'm going to go with the Giants to get Abdul Carter, to get a potentially a franchise quarterback, to get a guy that fits. I think Cam Scadaboo just fits New York with the toughness and physicality. I think Cam Scadaboo fits that. I like Darius Alexander. I think the offensive lineman they drafted from Purdue, as I said earlier, was good. I really liked what the Giants did in the draft. I got the number 3. Number 2, I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens. Really like getting Malachi Starks, the secondary that struggled at times last year. They got Malachi Starks. But the move I really, really like what the Ravens did, I think they got a steal in the 2nd round with Mike Green. I know they had reaches in the 3rd and 4th round, but Eric DeCosta is one of the top GMs in football, and it's hard to doubt him. And with the steal he got in the 2nd round and the good pick he had in the 1st round, I got to put them as one of my winners. And number 1, I'm going Kansas City Chiefs. They needed a tackle. They went out and got Simmons. They really addressed all their needs. They didn't reach for anyone. They addressed needs. I think Royals in the 4th round could be a steal. I really like what the Chiefs did. So my 5 winners: Chiefs, Ravens, Giants, Cards, and Titans. Justin, who are your winners in the draft?
For me, I had 5 and 4, the Giants and the Patriots. We kind of talked about it, so I won't go into detail. But so number 3 for me was Seattle. I thought they did a really good job of kind of prioritizing, some versatility, athleticism, and kind of, something that they needed. Nick Warren, they got 2nd round. He's a Swiss Army knife there at safety. It could be a really good second, great value there in the 2nd round. And then the offensive line, they got Gary Zebo at North Dakota State. I kind of talked about last week. He can kind of play everywhere in the O-line. He's kind of a leader in the locker room. And then I don't think Milrose I don't think he's ever gonna be a franchise quarterback, but I do think they're gonna have a package or 2 for him, and they kind of utilize him in different ways there. So I think Miller's a really good athlete. So I like that. I like Riley Mills, the D lineman out of Notre Dame there too. Played a lot of football up there. Troy Horton, the Colorado State wide receiver. He's been one of the top wide receivers that really hasn't been noticed the last couple of years. He was kind of banged up this year. So, and then Damon Martinez too, the running back in the 7th round, somebody who's gotten better as a pass protector too out of the backfield. And I think somebody 7th round there that could kind of end up being a steal for him. So that's my number 3. Number 2 had the Bears. I was a little surprised they went Loveland over Tyler Warren, but Loveland, his catch percentage last year was 68.3%, and Michigan didn't really have a quarterback to go with the football. And then Luther Burden, in the 2nd round too, who's probably going to line up in the slot for him. His catch percentage last year was 75.3%. So guys who could catch the football, they could, adding a couple more weapons there for Caleb Williams, I think is definitely huge. And I like Kyle McGundye too out of Rutgers, really productive the last couple of years there too. And the offensive line they got out of BC, things to be solid. And I think Turner could be a solid pick for him as well. So I like what the Bears did. And then number 1 for me, I have I messed that. So I had Chicago number 1, Seattle 2. I had skipped Cleveland. So Cleveland's my number 3.
Ooh, you like Cleveland. Oh, that's where we disagree a ton. You like Cleveland for some reason.
I do, because I think getting a potentially 2nd round or 2nd pick next year could be good. I think Mason Graham could be a really nice fit there at the defense tackle. He's like a blue collar guy. I think he could be huge. I like Carson Swimming Jiger from UCLA. He's kind of a do it everything linebacker. I think he's decent at coverage too. And I think pairing with JOK there, 2nd level, I think could be really good for Cleveland. Jenkins too. I don't know how much he has left. He's another one that I think for the first couple of years could be really, really good. I don't know what the long term kind of fit's going to be. And then I love the tight end pick at 3rd round, Harold Fenton Jr. I think he was the most productive tight end, in the history of college football. I think he had a good game too last year against or was it 2 years ago against Penn State? I think it was 2 years ago against Penn State. He played pretty well. I think he had close to 100 yards in that game. But he's really fun at Bowling Green. I think depending on who plays quarterback, I think he could be a long shot to win rookie of the year. I'm really high on Fenning. So and then even going back to Shador, if it works out, if he can be a franchise guy, it's a home run for him. So yeah, the 2 tight end, the 2 quarterback, it's a little odd, but I think it's solid. I do think Cleveland did get a little bit better last weekend.
I disagree, and I'm going to go to my losers of the draft, and they're just spoiler alert, they're on my list. But I'll start with 5. I'll start with the Bengals, because really outside of getting Stewart, I think there were a lot of reaches in the 2nd and 3rd round. Didn't mind Barrett Carr in the 4th round, but I think there were reaches in the 2nd and 3rd round there for them. I think they could have gotten players of more value. So to me, they're one of mine. Number 4 is the Dolphins. I think Kenneth Grant was a reach there for a run stopper, take him 13th overall. When guys like Tyler Warren and Jalen Walker were on the board, and you took Kenneth Walker. And no, I mean Kenneth Grant. I thought that was a reach. I think there were reaches all over the draft for the Dolphins. And I don't think they drafted a corner or a receiver, which to me, both those guys want off your team. So you got to prepare for that. So I think they were ill prepared for Ramsey and Tyreek Hill's trade request, and I think they retch in the first round. So the Dolphins are number 4 for me. Number 3, I know they're one of your winners. They're one of my losers. That's the Cleveland Browns. Number 1, you traded down for a once-in-a-generational talent, a guy that your general manager, who should be on the hot seat, said was the Shohei Ohtani of the NFL, and you traded down and passed on it. I know you got a lot of picks, and we got a haul, but you traded down. Number 2, what an absolute waste of a third-round pick taking Dylan Gabriel when then you turn around and take Shedeur Sanders in the fifth round. What a waste that was to take him in the third round. And then number 3, they did not draft an offensive lineman in this draft when your offensive line was ranked 20th according to Pro Football Focus. Your offensive line wasn't good last year. I know Watson held on the ball a lot and caused sacks because your offensive line wasn't good last year. So to me, they're number 3. They're the number 3. Number 2, I got to go with the Saints. You retch for a tackle at number 9, a guy you could have gotten that was projected to go late, middle to late first round in Calvin Banks. And number 2, that's got to be Shedeur. You're telling me that Tyler Shuck is better than Shedeur Sanders? Come on now, come on. And Shedeur Sanders would have fit you guys. He would have fit your team. Dome. He was playing in a dome. Doesn't need. You don't need great arm strength to play in a dome. He would have fit your team. And you go out and get Tyler Shuck, who had a late second to early third round grade, and is 26 years old. So to me, the Saints are number 2 and number 1. I think it's the most obvious one. The Pittsburgh Steelers. The quarterback you came out with was the 8th quarterback taken with Will Howard. I don't care what you did for the rest of the draft. I really don't. The fact that, and I know Aaron Rodgers will probably be your starter eventually, and we'll see what ends up happening there, but Will Howard, you took the 8th quarterback. You passed on Shedeur Sanders 3 times. You took Will Howard, a guy who played on a stacked team in college with 14 players ever drafted, 10 of them in the top 4 rounds of the draft. So to me, the fact you did not come out of this with a franchise quarterback makes, when you desperately need it, and that's what's helped, and that's a big reason why your team is getting held back. To me, the Steelers were the number 1 loser in the draft. Justin, your losers from the draft.
Yeah, for me, my number 5 one was the Vikings. I thought they really needed a safety, and Maury was still there on the board. I know it's tough because they went 2 picks there in the first 102 selections, but the other thing is too, I just don't think they had it. I think Donovan Jackson, you play both the guard or tackle, but I don't think they got a ton of kind of impact guys in a really good division. So I didn't love it. Number 4 for me was the Falcons. There's some head scratching ones. I get going pass rusher there with James Pierce Jr., but to give up a first rounder for next year for a guy that has some character concerns is taking a it's taking a good risk there. And, so that was a big one for me. Number 3 as well was Cincy. I think Stewart, their first round picks, I think he's got a lot. I think I said last week, he's got high upside. The production never matched the hype that he got. But for somebody that really needs some help defensively, you're kind of taking a chance there with him. For a team that desperately needs defensive help. Bear Carter, I think Carter could be a pretty good steal for him, but I didn't, and Knight's decent, but I think they could have done more in the defensive end side of the ball. Number 2 for me was as well as the Miami Dolphins. You mentioned it there. Going Grant there was head scratching, where they definitely needed impact weapons and secondary help, and they did not. They really didn't do much at all there. They got better in the trenches, but I still don't love it. And then Ollie Gordon, yeah, he was awesome 2 years ago. Last year he did not have an offensive line. Things didn't go well. Maybe McDaniels find something for him. And then Ewers, maybe you find something as a backup, but it's been banged up. Maybe the talent's maybe they see something in him, but you are taking a flyer there. The number 1, I'd say number 1 there as well with you is Pittsburgh. Yeah, they didn't get the QB early. Will Howard it's not going to be the answer. And again, you just paid DK Metcalf a huge contract. Is Mason Rudolph right now really going to be throwing in the football next year? That was kind of head scratching. Caleb Johnson, I think, could be a solid running back for him. He's a power back. Jack Sawyer, I think, really kind of think he kind of fits Pittsburgh. I think he could be really good there, but for me, it's just like not going with the quarterback early there. I get not going with Shador with everything that came out. I totally get it, but like I I just I don't you need a quarterback because Roger can continue to just keep playing this game, especially now that he knows you're even more desperate how they're going to need him.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah.
we know Rodgers.
Yep. He'll just keep waiting and wait.
Yeah. So yeah, I did not think Pittsburgh had a great draft. Well, they usually do, but this year I did not love it.
No, and you had most of the yeah you had the Steelers and the Dolphins and the Bengals on that list. You had most of my winners and losers on the list. So yeah, we'll see what happens with the NFL draft. We'll see how these players how everything turns out. It was very entertaining, especially with Georgia and his sliding. But we got to wrap up, and we'll wrap up doing our weekly check-in on the Yankees and Red Sox. And let me tell you something about last night. Don't talk about the Yankee offense being bad because last night they were just phenomenal. I mean, first Grisham, Ben Rice, and Aaron Judge all hitting home runs. Just a huge night for the 6 home runs last night. Huge night for the Yankees. Your thoughts on that last night, Justin?
Yeah, it was good. They did beat up Kyle Gibson. Like I can't give him a ton of credit for that. Like he's bad. I can't imagine he's still in the league. But look, to get 6 home runs is good. They kind of needed that after Monday night. So yeah, that was a huge one. Then the hit 6 home runs and came to yards, and they kind of needed that one last night to set up the rudder match. So yeah, it was fun watching the offense last night. Everybody kind of contributed in the start. I think every besides like Grisham, I mean Chisholm, who went out with an injury, like everybody else recorded a hit last night that started. So they kind of needed that last night. So it was good, but it was Kyle Gibson.
I get it. I get it with Kyle Gibson. I understand that. But the biggest issue with the Yankees, and we got to get to it, is Devin Williams. If it wasn't for Devin Williams, they'd be like 20-10. They'd be clearly the best team in the American League. But he's blew his second save on Friday night. The big question here is should he be the closer for the Yankees? And I know they traded Nestor Cortez in that deal, but I'd say no. I'd say no. Make Luke Weaver the closer and put him somewhere else in the bullpen because he clearly is not right now.
No, he's not. I'm happy Boone kind of made the decision now and didn't continue not to wait here, like he usually does. Yeah, because right now it's just he hasn't looked good. And I think I said it last week. Like I don't know if it was the Pete Alonso home run, which is the last pitch he threw in Milwaukee. Like I don't know if he's got like the yips or something. And I know like in that he was tipping his pitches. I don't know if he's exactly doing that right now or not, but like he just hasn't been the guy who's lived up to it. Maybe he's just not fit for New York, but you would think they would do their hit, they would think they'd do their due diligence to try to figure that out. But they failed at that pass. But yeah, I do like Weaver there. I know, you could use him multiple innings. I know that's why they probably totally didn't want to, but you got to you these games do matter in April and May. Like
They do.
So
They don't matter as much, I think, as later in the season, but they matter. They matter. And these 2 losses the Rays lost, the Blue Jays lost. Especially the Rays loss was a bad loss. And even in the games where some of the games he saved, that first game against the Brewers and that game against the Tigers, where he couldn't even finish it, those were issues. So I definitely think Luke Weaver's got to be the guy at this point. The Yankees are like afraid to make Luke Weaver the closer. I think they do. He pitched well in the postseason last year. He pitched well in September last year. I think he's earned the job.
no, I think he has, and I know Boone now's got the confidence in him, and we'll see if Williams can win that back. Maybe put him some less kind of high pressure rules is going to help him, maybe. But we'll see. And look, it's I'd rather that they did this now instead of signing him for Devin Williams for $15 million next year for the next 4 or 5 years, and then we're having this problem now. So at least if he can't turn out, you don't have to, like you're not resigning him. So I guess it helps it. But yeah, Luke Williams definitely earned the role, and was one once a starter who really couldn't figure it out, and the Yankees moving the bullpen, and he's been great.
Yeah, absolutely. Now another small issue has been the rotation, but I think that's gotten better. Max Fried, phenomenal, and then Carlos Rendon. How about his start? How about his last couple starts? I think he's definitely making his way to be the number 2 starter.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, he's been awesome. I think last night he had the no hitter going the 6th inning. He's been awesome. They kind of needed it. I know Schmidt's working his way back. I think he pitched better in Toronto the other night. So yeah, they need it because you're back in right now with Lou Warren and Carlos Carrasco, and those aren't great options right now. So, yeah, they really need Rodon to really hold his own. He's done it right now, and it's been good to see. 'Cause he started off the year, it was a little rough there, but he seems like he's figured some things out.
He definitely has. He definitely has. So the Yankees right now, 18-12 in first place in the AL East. But we'll move on to the team who's in second place, who's won 3-0 and three in a row, and that's the Red Sox. And I think a big reason why the Red Sox have had more success this year is because of the guys they picked up in the offseason. Garrett Crochet, really, really good pick, really great trade. He's been great for them. Alex Bregman, he's been great for them. Aroldis Chapman, he's been really good for them. So it's really, and Wilbur Bray, I don't pick him up, but he's been good for them. So it's really been the guys they picked up in the offseason. That's why right now they're clearly the second best team in the American League East.
Yeah, they are. It's been sad to see what Baltimore's become, the third worst record in the sport right now, which is not thinking it would happen going to May. But yeah, you mentioned it. Yeah, Bregman batting like 331 right now. And Devers too now. He's got 3 home runs in his last 4 games. So like even Devers starting to turn the corner. Yeah. Christian Campbell called up and he's batting over 300 right now. So even Story's starting to I know he's cooled off a little bit, but like he got off to a fast start. So yeah, and Crochet last night had another really good start. I know it's a Toronto team that's struggling and can't really hit right now, but another good outing from last night. And the bullpen really has not cost them too much so far, and that was a huge question going in. So yeah, this Boston team right now is playing after the 3-game losing streak headed into that doubleheader Saturday. They weren't playing great, but the last 3 games, the offense really picked it up.
Yeah, I think depth in the rotation is still an issue. Yeah, depth in the bullpen and the rotation are an issue. But to me, they've solidified themselves as the second best team in the division. And I think it's going to be fun. I think the Yankees are obviously better, but I think it's going to be fun to see these teams 1 and 2 in the AL East because we haven't seen that since Mookie Betts has been on the team. Seeing these teams be 1 and 2 in the AL East.
Yeah, I know it's been a couple years, really, since we've had like a meaningful Yankee Red Sox game in the middle of the summer. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. And you mentioned depth rotation. They're getting Giolito back tonight, but like he got roughed up a lot down his minor league rehab appearances. The Argots, I think, got him twice. So
really? Wow.
Not great, but we'll see what he's got tonight. But yeah, like they do need some more depth there in the bullpen. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun summer between those two. Where you mentioned it. We really haven't had that in the last couple of years here.
We definitely have not. But that's gonna wrap it up this week on Sports Talk with R&J. For Justin D'Onofrio, I'm Steve Risser. We will be back next week. Talking more NBA playoffs, talking more Yankees and Red Sox, and any NFL news that comes our way. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All 4 Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.